Is about 6 minutes in. Okay. Okay. So, hello, party people. Today we don't actually start where we would normally start. Today we're actually going to start with the clown show. Or, sorry, the comments section. And, as this is the last thing I have added to the comments section, specifically because I want to go through the comments, we'll start here with Rupert Lowe. One of the few politicians giving me hope. Rupert says, I have just received the latest draft of our rape gang inquiry report. Yeah, we're jumping into it hot today. Ready for a final read before publication. It will shake Britain. So from Justin McDaniel, everyone should know about the victimization of the vulnerable, innocent, white native Brits. This will be another inflection point in the solidification of white peoplehood throughout the West against our victimization on the basis of our birth. And the meme reads, It is out of love that whites are unified in combating anti-whiteism. Only anti-whites call it hateful and divisive. Or divisive, depending on your particular flavor of English. I happen to live in Newfoundland, and, well, we have our own flavor of English here, so I've learned to adapt to others. But the website is nowhiteguilt.org. The individual in charge, or at least the face of the organization, is Jason Kuna, the author of Going Free, the guide to, well, you can look it up on Amazon. Let's see. Curious Explorer asks Grok to provide a comprehensive summary on Pakistani rape gangs in the UK and explore how Restore Britain plans to seek justice for the thousands of victims ignored by Keir Starmer. Apparently there's a bit of a cover-up in the Belfast incident with Stephen Ogilvy. Local residents claim a second migrant was involved in the brutal knife attack on special needs man Stephen Ogilvy. Neighbours described Stephen as a kind person who helped migrants adjust to life in Belfast. Just 4 days earlier, he had helped Hadi Alodid, that's the individual in the video, move into taxpayer-funded housing. Hadi is the 30-year-old Sudanese terrorist who attacked him. He illegally traveled from France to Dublin before sneaking into Northern Ireland in 2023. Corrupt UK officials granted him asylum until 2028 without any vetting. Yeah, the various governments in the West like to talk about, oh no, we're making sure these people are safe to come here. And clearly they're not, because our streets are getting less and less safe every day. The attack was pure evil. Anyone who goes after another man's eyes is committing an act of evil. Stephen remains in hospital after being stabbed in the face, neck, and back. He wasn't stabbing him in the neck. I mean, you could see the sawing motion in the video. He was not... Yeah. He lost his left eye and suffered severe damage to his right eye. He now faces total blindness. Footage of the attack went viral thanks to Elon Musk and Anglosphere patriots on X. Starmer and state-controlled UK media are more outraged at free speech than the near beheading of a vulnerable local man. Starmer personally attacked Elon Musk for, quote, interfering in British politics and, quote, whipping up division. That's like saying that if a story ran in, one of Rupert Murdoch's newspapers, that it's Rupert Murdoch's fault that people react to the story in a certain way. It's not how it works, Keir. And you know that. Labour ministers, Sinn Féin politicians, and Green Party MPs have called for an immediate X ban in the UK and Ireland. Sinn Féin, Gerry Adams. Yeah, Gerry Adams, who was angry about the far-right extremists. Listen for the click, Gerry. I remember when you were the head of Sinn Féin, the fucking political wing of the IR-fucking-A. Get fucked. They are labeling anyone who posted or shared the video as racist far-right extremists. Oh, thank you. The UK government now thinks I'm a terrorist. I'm so touched. Fuck off. Simply for refusing to censor the truth. Yeah, because you shared the video, you're now considered an extremist. Just for sharing a video. Imagine that. All you had to do was 2 clicks. And now you're a terrorist. And don't mistake my meaning. They say this. They mean terrorist. They want you to think terrorist. Police statements and court records make zero mention of any second migrant. This is despite multiple eyewitnesses confirming Stephen was jumped by at least one other migrant off camera before the video started. Interesting. The British government would rather silence its own people than protect them. They hide Henry Novak's full unedited body cam footage. They also hide the footage from the police van wherein Digwa and his brother were conspiring. They also hide Digwa's footage. Yeah, no, it all needs to come out. And these people need to start being held to account. And apparently so does government. And pretend to care about children while Pakistani rape gangs throw girls into dog cages. Yeah, the people of Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England deserve the full truth. Absolutely true. We're not going to review the video again. Now, I wanted to see exactly how Grok responded to to Curious Explorer here. So we'll go into the replies from Grok. Is here. There we are. Okay. No, I think I've gone too far. Just a second. Let me go all the way back to where the post begins. Oops. Forward. Okay. Let me try that again. Sorry. So this is Rupert's post. Justin McDaniel, Curious Explorer, asking Grok to provide a comprehensive summary. Grok responds with, Pakistani grooming gangs. That's funny. They weren't referred to as grooming gangs by the person who asked you the question. Major scandals in Rotherham. The J Report 2014 estimated 1,400 mostly white British girls, almost exclusively white British girls, with a few Sikh girls, because, well, apparently, yeah. Exploited from 97 to 2013. 26 years. By predominantly British Pakistani men. Why are you putting the British descriptor on these people? Rochdale, Telford, others. Groomed vulnerable girls using taxis and takeaways for rape and trafficking. So you couldn't even let your kid get in a car with somebody else who you didn't know. You couldn't let them go for food. For those of you in Canada and the UK, or the US, well, Canada especially, here we have a thing called a takeout. In the UK, they call those takeaways for rape and trafficking. So, yeah, you know, the little mom and pop, what the UK would refer to as a chip shop, we would refer to as a takeout, or, you know, well, no, a takeout is pretty much how Newfoundlanders refer to them. But it's basically a restaurant where you can go in, get food, and leave. Yeah. Police councils often delayed action fearing racism claims per multiple inquiries. It doesn't matter. Here's one of the problems, and I may very well be completely off base saying this, and feel free to argue with me in the comments and in the chat. Not that there's anybody there, but feel free to argue with me. If there were no women on the police force, this would be far less of a problem. Not that the grooming gangs would be less of a problem, the reluctance to act on the basis of the fear of how it would be optically received. Restore Britain ran an independent rape gang inquiry. Draft report was just received for publication. They plan to expose institutional failures, use parliamentary privilege to name unpunished perpetrators and individuals. Good. And fund private prosecutions for justice. Victims were ignored across governments. Current national inquiry is underway. Yeah, the current national inquiry that a lot of the MPs in Britain are fighting against allowing. Curious responds with, please reference the 5 most powerful tweets from Rupert Lowe on Pakistani rape gangs in the UK. Here are 5 of Rupert Lowe's most impactful tweets on Pakistani rape gangs. 1. Pakistani rape gangs, not Asian grooming gangs. And that got almost 200,000 likes. Those labeling concerns racist enabled the cover-up. Racist is an anti-white slur used to prevent us from defending ourselves. He says that they should be deporting foreign rapists. Far-right label means nothing. Yes. Inquiries aren't enough. Push for brutal justice. Doesn't have to be brutal, but it does have to be complete. Political correctness and Islam fears let gangs rape thousands of girls. Restore Britain's inquiry report will expose failures and seek prosecutions. Good. Then he asks, why are Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe the only ones standing up for the thousands of Pakistani rape gang survivors? Political correctness and fear of racism labels long paralyzed many politicians, police, and councils pussies. Cowards. Pussy, in this case, pusillanimous, which is a synonym for coward. Yeah. Lowe and Restore Britain stand out by running their own independent inquiry with a draft report ready, planning to name unpunished perpetrators via parliamentary privilege and fund private prosecutions for real justice. That you even need to look at private prosecutions is absolutely insane. Now, we'll go back. Oh, yeah, I did point out that I had been labeled a terrorist by the UK. This is my proof. Oh, it's not going to play, is it? No? Okay. So, from I am yes, you are no. According to the UK government, you're considered a terrorist if you believe that Western culture is under threat from mass migration. Oops. Gov UK prevent duty training. Extreme right-wing terrorist ideology. Cultural nationalism. Yes, how dare you want the culture of your nation to remain the national culture? Horrible. If someone says Western culture is under threat from mass migration and a lack of integration by certain ethnic and cultural groups, in other words, if they tell the fucking truth, yeah, they're labeled a terrorist. So apparently, I am in fact an extreme right-wing terrorist. So much for visiting the homeland of my father. Or my father's fathers. Yeah. Molly Pitcher says, fuck the UK government. These are your choices. Be afraid of being called racist. Save civilization. Yeah. Cultural nationalism does not worry us. Really. Extreme right-wing. We define extreme right-wing terrorism as the active or vocal support of ideologies that advocate discrimination or violence against minority groups. The three most common subcategories of extreme right-wing terrorist ideologies and their narratives are cultural nationalism. Western culture is under threat from mass migration and a lack of integration by certain ethnic and cultural groups. So it's telling the truth. They also have ethno-nationalism. Mass migration from the non-white world and demographic change poses an existential threat to the white race and Western culture. If you have 15 green balls in a box, and you start throwing in purple balls, and you keep throwing in purple balls, how long before you have more purple balls than you do? Yeah, right? White supremacism. I don't subscribe to a supremacist ideology, but, and I'll leave it with the but, the white race is biologically, culturally, and spiritually superior to all other races. See, I don't necessarily believe that, but I do believe there are races that whites are better than. I'm sorry. Is that bad of me? Guess what? Every other fucking race thinks the same fucking thing. Yeah. Nazi, racist, terrorist, they keep giving me these new badges. I need one of these jackets. Yep. Yeah. What to do if you begin to be beheaded? Yes, be aware that in Starmer's Britain, this is what you need to do. The first step is to not be racist. Your second step is to not be Islamophobic, but those can switch depending on whether the person attacking you is obviously Muslim or not. Step 3, patiently wait for the police to come and arrest you. Step 4, do not react in anger. Use the incident to bring us all together. Yes, so that more Muslims can attack more white people. It's easier if we're all together. Like sheep herded to a fucking slaughterhouse. Yeah, the police in Canada are the same thing. Actually, no. This isn't why Donald Trump won. Donald Trump didn't win on the basis of migration. Donald Trump won because the U.S. economy was shit. Joe Biden was losing his fucking mind, or had lost his mind, and it was very clear that if they didn't get Biden out, the Americans were going to end up in another war. Funny how things turn out. Yes, far right is an adjective which is used to describe anyone who wants justice for gang rape children. Yeah. Okay, since we're talking about Starmer, we'll move on to, well, the UK Parliament, and possibly Starmer, but I don't think it absolutely is. From Basil the Great. Oh, no, I'm wrong. It is about Starmer. Keir Starmer commits to crackdown on X. Lib Dem, which from what I understand is Liberal Democrat, which is really just another way to say fucking Marxist. Leader Ed Davies says, it's not free speech. Starmer agrees and says we need to crack down on X for whipping up violence. Yeah, this is the attack on Elon Musk. These people are insane, authoritarian, and dangerous. They must be removed from power. Yeah.
And that it is not free speech if it is controlled by tech billionaires.
Okay, so free speech controlled by tech billionaires isn't free speech. But free speech that you determine is free speech as an elected politician is free speech. Do you understand now why, people, I say that the U.S. Constitution is the only good one? Everywhere else in the world that has a constitution grants you the right to free speech, which means, guess what? The government can curtail it as they choose. Here in Canada, I'm looking at the possibility of going to jail because of things I've said previously about the residential school. Mass grave bullshit. Yeah, I'm no longer even questioning it. I'm on the balance of what's been done, the money that was given to the native tribes to investigate, which got disappeared, and the only thing it appears to have been used for is to create a security fence so that people can't investigate on their own, which includes the natives, by the way. You know, you'd think your own people would want the truth, rather than stirring up racial animus. Yeah, why is it only the whites aren't allowed to do that?
And their algorithms.
Oh no, not the horrible algorithm. Tell me you don't understand how the internet works without telling me you don't understand how the internet works.
So will he crack down properly on platforms like X that are fueling violence and hatred?
Why are you mentioning X specifically? It's almost like you have one guy that you don't like. And much as I wish it, Elon Musk isn't on our side. Elon Musk would rather humans were fucking mind-borked into fucking robots and machines and traveling the fucking universe, exploring.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will crack down on anyone who's fueling this division.
Will you? Because, Keir, by your own actions you have fueled this division. By attempting to censor the video of what happened to Stephen Ogilvy, by trying to prevent people from finding out about what happened to Henry Novak, and by sending your fucking nudge unit to tell Henry Novak's father not to talk as comfortably, as freely as he would like, instead giving him a prepared statement. And we know they're prepared statements because we've seen the text of them come out and be replicated in various statements. So yeah, by doing all of that, you, sir, have fueled this division. You are creating the problem you are attempting to solve. And I don't think you're doing it unintentionally.
But it is really important, and I agree with him, we're heading into a very difficult situation in Northern Ireland.
Well, you had a nice, comfortable, generation in Northern Ireland? Yeah. It's going to be interesting when all the white people in Northern Ireland decide they don't want the Browns. And all the people that were busy fighting each other over who was a Catholic and who was a Protestant suddenly decide, I don't care anymore.
As I say, I've spoken to the Chief Constable, the First Minister and Deputy First Minister this morning. They are united in saying we should all be calling for calm. The police are on the front.
No. I don't want you calm. I want you pissed off and throwing people out of your country. I want you doing your job, which, this may be a shock to you, you're a public servant here. Put the servant back in. Start serving the public. The public's needs are not the needs of the foreigner. They're the needs of the native-born. Democracy is rule of majority. Right now, the white is still the majority in your country. The Englishman, the Welshman, the Cornish, I don't know what the proper term for, Cornishman, I guess. But the Yorkshireman, the Northerner, the Geordie, the Jock, whatever term you want to use for yourselves. The Scot, the Irishman, all of these people, the native-born peoples of your fucking isles, these are the ones you're supposed to be, serving as a public servant. The term servant, the word knight, and the word samurai all have the same or similar roots in the idea of service. But that noble ideal, those noble ideals, the idea of duty, honor, care of people, that's all gone. Because empty suits like you, I have to watch what I say, but empty suits like you have decided that nothing matters at all except for your prosperity, and I don't mean the prosperity of your country, I mean your personal prosperity, and how that is accomplished through the GDP. Whatever it takes to keep that fucking line going up.
Line, and it's our duty as politicians to call for that calm, and nobody who's a politician...
No, your duty as a politician is to make sure nobody has to get angry. So you need to get out there, you need to get... Well, it'd be pointless to put you on the front line. You'd be dead in about 5 minutes. But your job is to ensure that people no longer need to be angry because you have fixed the problem. And like it or not, the problem is the flooding of your country with people who aren't going to integrate. If I moved to the UK, I would have very little effort to expend to integrate. Yeah, there would be things that I would never completely change because I simply can't. I wasn't raised in Britain. I was raised in Newfoundland. My behavior will never be an exact mirror of a Brit's. And it wouldn't matter what part of Britain I moved to. But I would want to be part of Britain because I'm already part of Britain. I'm an English descent Newfoundlander. The thread remains. But when you go to someone from deepest Africa who might not have ever seen, well, many things, but when you go to someone from deepest Africa who has never had any inkling of wanting to go to England, and you tell them, hey, come to England and make money, and you can come home and live like a king, yeah, that'll happen. But then their buddies come home on vacation and tell them about all the girls they've been... They'll probably say it differently, but they will say they can rape English girls and get away with it, and the English government even covers it up. You think that never happened?
Should be whipping up division and hate.
Hatred. It's not hatred, it's love of people, you dumb cock. Yes, Keir Starmer is anti-white, according to Biospirit of the West. Anyone who thinks you can censor your way out of an issue is an absolute fool, a traitor, your enemy, or some combination of those three. Yeah. Elon Musk is causing division in Britain. I don't think he is, mate. Yeah, then we have Mark Carney, yeah. Jesus. What's the emergency? Someone's telling the truth on X. Yeah, no doubt. How's everything going in the UK? I can't complain. Well, that's great. No, I can't complain or I'll get arrested. Yeah. Kind of makes me worry for some of the Brits that I do know. I know they say things online that they'd never be able to get away with if they happen to say them where someone in public could hear them. Oh, Evil author. Speaking of people who say things in private that they probably shouldn't say in public, how you doing? Evil author says, hello, sir. Sir, we are all British, sir. Bloody! No. So, from Melissa L.M. Rogers, let me understand this. European leaders saying Canada should be part of the EU is acceptable and a good idea. But as soon as anyone talks about 51st state, it's treason, foreign interference, and very bad. Once again, zero logic. Yeah, there's that. There's also when people mention Alberta separatism, all of a sudden that's treason. Quebec separatism was fine 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. Fuck, I'm getting old. Yeah, funny fucking thing, that. Quebec 52. Keep dreaming, pal. What's this one? Christian Tremblay. Provinces had to become U.S. states and keep their governments. No! Are you fucking retarded? No, the last thing we should do is keep our provincial governments. Have you never seen Ontario and Manitoba? No, the last thing you want to do is keep your provincial governments. I don't want the same provincial government in Newfoundland if we join the fucking states. Fuck that noise. My fucking provincial government excels at nothing more than giving things away. And impoverishing Newfoundlanders even worse than we already are. This entire country is governed by people who have pushed us so low in the economic rankings, we're under Alabama. Fuck off, are you retarded? Canada would sacrifice sovereignty, like we have it now. We never really had sovereignty. We were always under the fucking umbrella of the U.S. Always, forever. There was never a time when the U.S. wasn't protecting Canada. That includes from the time we were fucking incepted. In 1867, okay, 55 years after people from this country, well, from the region that became this country, if I'm going to be historically accurate, went to the U.S. and ended up burning part of the, I can't even call it the White House. It wasn't the White House until after we burned it, and it got whitewashed by, I think it was Dolly Madison. It was like the presidential palace or something at the time. They started calling it the White House after a bunch of British and British soldiers got in there from Canada. Those same British soldiers were probably loyalist descendants from when the War of Independence happened, and you drove them up. Created your own problem. Wheelie bins of doom. Hang on, let me say it again. Wheelie bins of doom! Also, duck. Canadians actually want to join the EU? Are you fucking retarded? Canada for Europe? Where are you from? Let's just do some sleuthing, shall we? You're actually in Canada. You're full of shit, but you're actually in Canada. Let me see. Canadians actually want to join the EU. No, we don't. Mark Carney does. This is a fucking bot or a psyop. Canadians don't want to join the U.S. If the concept of democracy is confusing to you, then you should move to North Korea. Oh, look, a government poll... Yeah, nanos. Yeah, a government-funded poll says Canadians want what the government wants. How do people think we believe this shit? And don't get me wrong, I love my mother. She's a boomer, but the day of the pillow can't fucking come fast enough. Canada needs to make sense or join a larger union. Okay. It makes more sense to join the USA since we already are in the American continent. We're already part of the American, or at least the North American culture. Okay? There is a lot of cultural back and forth across that fucking border. That border is uncontrolled for a reason. I don't think it's going to stay uncontrolled if shit keeps happening the way it's going. But as a Newfoundlander, while I feel close to my British cousins, and I'll say cousins, the people that I came from, that my people came from, I feel just as close to the Americans. Okay? I would far rather be called a North American than a Canadian or a European. It would make no sense to call me a European. There's a fucking ocean between me and Europe. And I'm the closest to Europe, Canada, or North America gets. It's literally a shorter flight for me to fly to the seat of the European Union than it is for me to fly to BC, certainly. right? It is a far shorter flight for me to cross the ocean than it is to cross my country. But I don't want to cross the ocean. It's bad enough being governed by Ottawa, who are distant enough to be ignorant of the needs of the average person in rural Newfoundland. It is going to be far worse to be governed by a completely ignorant and uninterested government in Brussels. Not a fucking chance. PSYOP, yeah, absolutely. Mark Carney is a fucking Remainer. Always wants the EU to be stronger. Because Carney is at heart a fascist. If you can't see that from watching the things that are unfolding in Canada, you're a damn fool. And I don't lightly use that term. If it doesn't fit reality, I won't use it. But the way he's behaving, come on. Wow, a smart Canadian. Yeah. Any other decent memes in here? If you're angered by Trump's jokes about the 51st state, but unbothered by these EU leaders seriously calling for Canada to become their 28th state, you have fallen for propaganda. Yes. As several people on the internet point out, you are not immune to propaganda. Okay. Yeah, we'll move along on that one. Speaking of moving along, this fellow should probably be moved along, I think. Sorry. A little coffee down the wrong tube. Chief Justice Richard Wagner says that criticizing the justice system as being too liberal undermines public confidence. Stop talking about how bad a job we're doing, or you'll make us worse. Yeah.
Here too, our institutions are under pressure.
Oh, that's quiet.
As in many other jurisdictions...
Okay, let me back this up. I'll put the captions on, if I can. Are there captions on this? There are not. Okay. Let me crank it.
Here too.
No way.
Here too, our institutions...
I accidentally turned my microphone off. La. Okay, I turned it back on.
Around the world. Here too, we have seen attempts to
There we
undermine
go.
public... Here too, our institutions are under pressure. As in many other jurisdictions around the world, here too, we have seen attempts to undermine public confidence in the justice system.
Oh, so the issue is that people saying the courts are too liberal when they're too liberal undermines public confidence in the courts because they're too liberal. Maybe be less liberal. Idiots. And I pointed out, when our supposed justice system is staffed by judges who will release or light sentence someone based on their immigration status, the justice system might very well be the problem. Yeah. Yet, us criticizing the justice system is undermining public confidence. That's interesting, because if we criticized it for being too harsh, it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah. Yes, free Alberta from Ottawa. This is not a surprise. This from the National Post. This is quite old, actually. Trudeau's Law Society. Exclusive data analysis reveals that Liberals appoint judges who are party donors. No fucking shit. Judges shouldn't be appointed. Just like the Senate shouldn't be appointed. Let's see. Evil Author says, North American Empire has a ring to it. Become a citizen of the Empire. I have repeatedly stated I would dearly love an honest, imperialist America that immediately claimed both Mexico and Canada, and then built basically Fortress America. I'd be absolutely fine with that. Oh, I knew I recognized his name. Yeah, he's the judge who refused to recuse himself from the Emergencies Act appeal. Yeah. He thinks he's more important than the credibility of the Supreme Court. Yeah. Poor decisions undermine confidence. Protecting criminal immigrants and two-tier justice haven't helped. Punishing political dissidents hasn't helped. Yeah. One of these days I'm going to have to get somebody to do me a deep dive on the Jesuit thing. I'm barely getting up to snuff on the other people thing. Anyway, let's speaking of other peoples, let's hop over and see what, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this guy's name because of the way it's spelled. I'm going to say Yvonne. Liberal MP, this from Riley Donovan, Liberal MP Yvonne Baker, and that's a guy, for the record, it might also be pronounced Ivan, is unsure why there is a hostile response from Canadians to his bill to designate July as Somali Heritage Month, to which, of course, I responded, nope, it's White History Month. Yeah, I have to look into it more before I can really determine what the cause of that reaction is. Yeah, I have 2 links for this, so we're actually going to look at this one for the video. And I did point out, we need one more, and this one doesn't require government approval. July is White History Month. Yeah, please share that hashtag around. Also, for not just for policies that the government does that are obviously anti-white, but to highlight people who are injured because of anti-whiteism. Henry Novak is a great example. Stephen Ogilvy, Irina Zarutska. But also, and this is kind of the point of me pushing this hashtag so hard, I don't just want it to be a tragedy fest. I don't want it to be a reason people are made sadder, because people will ignore it. You also need, when there is something shining and good and beautiful about white folk, that needs to go out. Our heritage, our history, it all deserves to be tagged with this hashtag. Yeah, the question is, how many Heritage Months does Canada even have at this point? And I pointed out we need one more, and this one doesn't require government approval. Yeah. Oops, this is wrong, sorry. Here we are. So I'm going to say Ivan, for the sake of simplicity. So Ivan Baker explains why he wants to designate July Somali Heritage Month.
Time we had a Heritage Month, private members bill. I think we did Ukrainian, since you are the Ukrainian descent yourself, Albanian, and now Somali. However, with the Somali Heritage Month, private members bill, you seem to be getting along.
Albanian?
Why do you think that is?
You know, I have to look into it more before I can really determine what the cause of that reaction is. But at the end of the day, we live in a diverse country. We have people.
We live as a diverse country. 2 clicks for you, sir. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Arthur. I'd far rather be a citizen of the North American Empire. The glorious North American Empire, yeah. But, I mean, this guy saying he doesn't know what the problem is with Somali Heritage. How about the fact there's no Canadian Heritage Month in Canada, dickhead? But we have Pride Season. We have Black History Month in this country. Why? There's like 30 of them. Granted, I'm underestimating for the sake of, you know, hyperbole, but yeah.
From around the world who immigrated to this country, who contributed to this country, who make Canada the best country in the world. The heritage bills that I've introduced, that other members have introduced in the past in this House of Commons over the years, over the decades, have been a way of celebrating those contributions.
No, they've been a way of further obfuscating the importance of old stock, your slur, not mine, Canadians' contribution to Canada. Meanwhile, you people are hiding the same problems we have here that the UK has. We have grooming gangs, illegals, drug running, terrorism, gun running, yeah. Oh, yeah, and then there's this. From the CCFR, that's the Canadian Centre for Firearms Rights, if I recall correctly. That's Canada's gun lobby, yeah. So one example of what's wrong in Liberal Canada. IPV suspect. I'm not sure what IPV stands for. But he possessed an illegal gun, had no license for it, carried it loaded in person, on his person or in a vehicle, had a banned handgun, which was never sold in Canada, no status in Canada, he's not even a citizen, he killed a Canadian woman, found not fucking guilty.
Harold Santana Simon's defense lawyers leave the courthouse escorted by police officers around noon on Friday. An hour earlier, a jury found their 29-year-old client not guilty of second-degree murder. The verdict setting off an angry outburst by some people sitting in the gallery. After the jury foreman said not guilty to count 1 second-degree murder, the family of Roxburgh Carpino looked shocked. The judge asked for clarification, and the foreman repeated not guilty. Harold Simon, who was standing in the prisoner's box, then sat down and put his face in his hands as friends and family of Roxburgh Carpino began yelling and screaming. The Crown argued that Harold Simon let himself into his ex-girlfriend Centauri Kamara's apartment near Eglinton and Dufferin at 5 a.m. on May 11th, 2024.
Eglinton and Dufferin, if I recall correctly, is in Toronto. This is definitely in Ontario.
After learning that she was texting with other men. Kamara had blocked him on her phone. The Crown argued Simon was annoyed when he got to the bedroom and realized Roxburgh Carpino was staying over. The Crown said when the 20-year-old friend would not leave, Simon, fueled by jealousy and anger, put a gun to her head and pulled the trigger because he wanted to kill her. Roxburgh Carpino's DNA was found on the muzzle of the illegal handgun. After the shooting, Simon ran off and tried to hide. He was arrested in a high-risk takedown later that day. Police found the loaded firearm. By the end of the trial, defense lawyers conceded Simon was guilty on 2 other counts he was charged with: possessing a prohibited firearm and occupying a motor vehicle knowing there was a prohibited firearm. In its
just sitting in a car knowing that there's a gun in there, an illegal gun, can get you charged. This country is full of clowns, and they're writing the fucking laws.
closing address, the defense told the jury Simon went to his ex-girlfriend's apartment that night to reconcile and have sex, and said he was no longer upset. Simon testified when he arrived, things escalated, and the ex-girlfriend pulled out his loaded handgun that Simon kept in the girlfriend's bedside dresser for protection. Simon testified when he tried to disarm her, the gun accidentally went off. He said he panicked afterwards, which is why he fled. Sentencing hearing for Simon on the 2 gun charges has yet to be scheduled. Simon is facing a deportation order upon completion of his sentence.
He's in this country illegally. He's committed a slew of crimes, potentially even killing somebody. Why are we even talking about sentencing him? Or deporting him? Hang the son of a bitch and be done with it. We need to get a bit old school with our justice again. Yeah, the people running this country hate this country and want it dead. And this is a meme I came up with this morning. It's kicking around in my head. I had to get it out. Yeah, it's Cansock, future home of Airstrip 2. Yeah, I wonder what Polly Sessouvion will have to say about that. Yeah. Okay, if your concern is whether or not the women representing him are attractive, get out of the fucking conversation. You're not helpful. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. As in Canada, as in the UK, so too in Canada. Be polite. Never ask the religion of your attacker. Don't be racist. Suppress your phobias. Patiently wait for the police to come and arrest you. Don't react in anger. Use the incident to bring us all together. Brought to you by the Come Fuck Me Clubs of the West. Pretty much. Yeah. We'll pause this here. That one's from Millennial Woes. Great follow on X. Evil says, what gets me is that white people have conquered the world several times over, and other peoples think it is wise to push us. This only ends one way: if our leaders had a spark of love for our people. There's a bit to unpack there. First, the intellect level of most non-whites. This is not a racist fact. It's borne out by statistical IQ distribution. Not to mention current conditions. If Africans are just as intelligent and capable as whites, regardless of what Joe Biden said about poor kids and white kids, if Africa is, full of people who are just as capable as any whites in Europe, why does anyone in Africa still live in a mud hut and have to walk 15 miles for water? Why isn't Africa the Wakandan paradise American blacks think it's supposed to be? Oh, right, because evil white people raped the land. Fuck off. If they were as capable as the rest of us, they could have stopped us from doing that too. That's one. That's probably the overriding factor. The other is that history books are written by people who, well, don't want you to remember your history as a white man. So that's one. The white men have no idea how badass white men can be. Okay? They see a movie like Zulu, and they think it's just as fictional as Braveheart. They see... It's one of the reasons documentary and history content are so fucking popular. It's because when you show people their actual history, and if you want good history, especially good deep dives into individuals, go look at Count Dankula's Mad Lads series, when he looks at people like Mad Jack Churchill, who was fucking insane. I would love to sit down and have a beer with Mad Jack Churchill. I want to know why in hell he thought it was a good idea to carry bagpipes and a fucking saber on D-Day. That man was a savage. Look at Sabaton, some of the stories they've told. Ghost in the Trenches, the Invincible Soldier, the Eternal Soldier. One second, I have to see who that was about as well. It wasn't the first soldier. The Unkillable Soldier tells the story of Sir Adrian Carton de Wyatt. He was a lieutenant colonel, Belgian heritage, fought for the British. Known as the man who could not be killed, he survived being shot through the eye, losing limbs and other injuries, and famously stated he enjoyed the war. Mad Jack Churchill, when he got told that the Americans had nuked Japan and Japan was going to surrender, went, "Fuck the Yanks, we could have kept this going for another 10 years. Right? Other famous, rather not famous enough soldiers that Sabaton talks about. Percy Pegamagabo, Ghost in the Trenches. It's a Canadian from, I believe, the First World War. Go look him up. Yeah. People know next to nothing about Newfoundland. Even in Newfoundland, which is why I try to do as much Newfoundland stuff as I can, and talk about things like the Battle of Beaumont Hamel, the Battle of Vimy Ridge, battles that basically wiped out entire generations of Newfoundland men. Yeah. One of the issues, too, is people don't seem to connect the Roman Empire with white people. Right? Yeah, Genghis Khan may very well be one of my direct descendants. Maybe, but I know Charlemagne is. Sorry, not direct descendants. I may be one of Charlemagne's direct descendants. Not direct descendants. I may be one of Charlemagne's descendants. Sorry, I'm getting a little head up, so... Yeah. But we'll come to this thing with millennial woes. The left have been saying this since Hillary Clinton in 2016. Any organic, spontaneous, natural reaction of their ideas to their ideas has to have been orchestrated by Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, the Kremlin, Alex Jones, the KKK, etc. Yeah. Caroline Lucas.
I think we need to recognise that what happened on the streets of Belfast was being orchestrated by the far right, by Elon Musk, by a...
You people are insane. You think Elon even cares that much?
network of people who actually want this to happen. So it wasn't quite as spontaneous as it looks.
So, yes,
people are absolutely being urged to get out on those streets.
Oh, you mean like the BLM fucking protests were spontaneous? Yeah. Actually, I need to teach myself to set my microphone just a little more to that side, I think. That's better. Yeah, listen for the click, lady. Actually, that's too far over, sorry. Yeah, so apparently police were using water cannons on the crowd. Anyway, we'll let her finish.
And that has to be stopped.
It has to be stopped. How are you going to stop people? But the really funny thing about this, and it did hit me as I was listening to this, it cannot occur to the governing class that the people they view as automata to be directed as they will could ever actually spontaneously and organically decide to take action for themselves. It must be their opponents directing it. They do not believe we have free will, and so they act as if they do not believe we have free will. They act and talk as if they think we have no ability to govern ourselves. because they are so convinced that they are the new aristocracy, that they have a divine right to rule us, that they must have been placed there by God because we can't take care of ourselves. That seems to be the way a lot of especially the liberal governments, and I mean liberal in terms of the socialized liberal governments, the ones that provide free healthcare, shit like that. And to be honest, even the U.S. government behaves as if its people can't take care of itself anymore. Which, when you look at the welfare class, yeah. The end of everything says, this narrative also denies the right, any entitlement to leadership. It says that anyone even giving voice to what are general concerns about mass immigration, etc., is illegitimate, downright malign, and created. You have to keep that in mind. They honestly believe that they are the only people with free will. Eli doesn't care two shits about that crap. He's busy trying to take us to the stars. I mean, Elon's not our guy. Elon has his own version of living in a fantasy world, which makes it really hard to break him out of it because he's got so much goddamn money, everyone around him is going to be going, yes, Elon, you're so good. Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. Elon Musk, I would like to take Elon Musk for a hike. That's it. Just take him for a hike here in Newfoundland and show him how to build a fire. That's it. Just that simple act will ideally illustrate to him that not everything requires technology. And illustrate that technology is not necessarily as much of a benefit to us as he thinks it is. Like, I know Elon is what's that term? Pro-singularity, where the idea being that technology and humanity would fuse and we'd somehow become some sort of great space race or something. I don't know. It's just what I want. A bunch of liberals converted to fucking digital. Talk about fucking computer viruses. David Eby, the Premier of British Columbia, this one from Libs of TikTok, says it's heartbreaking that a Somali now, they're using the word referee here. Oh, sorry, no, I thought it was refugee the first time I read it. I'm wrong. It is, in fact, referee. That a Somali referee with alleged ties to a terrorist organization was denied entry into the U.S., this for the World Cup. He says the Somali referee would be welcome to celebrate it in his country. No. Why is Canada welcoming Islamic terrorist associates? We welcome everybody else. Fuck, we pay terrorists sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a heartbreaking story about this referee from Somalia, a refugee, a guy who gets a visa from...
Hang on. Is he a refugee or a referee? Now I'm confused. If he's a referee for the Somali national team involved with the World Cup and FIFA, he's got a job. He doesn't need to be a refugee. What the fuck you on about, Dave? Yeah, we're going to leave you alone. He's not a moron. Please, for the love of God, stop calling these people stupid or incompetent. You don't get to their positions by being either of those. I know he isn't our guy, but he's better than these people. Yeah. I think I would prefer if he was far more interested in actually helping white people as opposed to himself, but yeah, I'll give you that. You know, there are some things that you just never think of, like Mount Rushmore from the Canadian side. I mean, telling the entire country to kiss your president's asses. I'm okay with that. Though I don't necessarily think that's how B. Bowden 18 means it. Raised in Memphis. Oh, maybe. Yeah, appeasing radical Islam is the same as sponsoring your own assassination. Rape stats in Europe, yeah. We need drug testing of politicians. Maybe the program they push are because they are users themselves. Dave, he does look kind of fucked up. What's up with that nostril, Dave? Evil says, imagine Reddit mods as a digital... No. That scares the shit out of me. Butlerian Jihad, yeah. It's an E in Butlerian, by the way. It's Butler. Butlerian. Yeah. But, no. God, imagine the furries running fucking Discord as digital presences. Oh my God. You know what? I just changed my mind. We need to reach the singularity as soon as possible so that these people fuck off. And we can go back to being an agrarian society that gets along with everybody. Well, that won't happen, but yeah. Yeah. Pictures and words. Yep. Speaking of words, let's talk about this. The new Kearney Liberals Safe Social Media Act. Doesn't that just sound so pleasant and wonderful and so easily supportable? Yeah, till you read it. Gives the government the power to regulate digital content related to 50 issues. However, none of these issues are defined in the bill itself. And the actual decision to define these things comes down to Mark Kearney and his regulators. Yeah, which means Mark Kearney. Among these issues is content that causes significant psychological or physical harm. Tell us, on the doll, where the YouTube video hurt you. Wherever you point to, we'll have to ask, is that where your feelings sit? Yeah. Yeah, what does physical harm over the internet even mean? The bill doesn't answer that. It gives Kearney and his cabinet the sole power to decide what it means. You think Kearney would abuse these powers the moment he gets... He's abusing them now. He just wants them codified. Yeah. By hook or by crook seems to be the way this government wants to operate. Whatever it takes to turn Canada into Airstrip 2. Thought police. Yeah. That should be a picture of Kearney for sure. Oh, what's this fellow got to say? Out. Piers Corbyn.
Time is running out. Yes, time is running out. If you want to keep free, then have a sense of urgency. Resist digital ID and programmable currency.
We're good, thanks. Okay, from Ireland. Yeah, this one's fucking infuriating too.
By the influence that he wields.
Okay, from Anthony Cumia. Oh, I thought I was following. Yeah, I am now. She doesn't say she wishes the savage attack didn't happen. She says she wishes people didn't see the record of it. That right there speaks volumes. Yeah, absolutely.
By the influence that he wields.
Not to my knowledge. I haven't had a chance to speak to the PSNI this morning. Last night it was very fresh, it was very new, but they did advise me that CID would be looking into these threats. And
I hate to say it, but she's actually kind of attractive for an Irish lass.
Taking them very seriously.
Politician.
Has been a comfort, I have to say, but...
Sorry, I just read your Reddit mad thing again.
And, you know, Monday night was horrific, and so many people saw...
Monday night was horrific. Excuse me? Yeah, if your elected representative would rather you didn't see something instead of rather it didn't happen, then they're not representing you. Maybe giving them rights was a bad thing. Yeah, women should not be in positions of power outside the home or a small business that they run. Yeah, speaking of speaking volumes, same girl. Visiting the new mural underway by community groups in West fucking Belfast in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. May behoove you to know, the original IRA were in fact communists too. Yeah. Now, Chris, we may feel this way, but you shouldn't express it. Certainly not publicly. Here's hoping the three of them are the next victims of an African migrant. No. Let's pop back across the pond to Canada again. So, the same week that Mark Kearney said that we need to support farmers, the government wants to seize their land. This from Harrison Faulkner. Also a solid follow if you're interested in Canadian stuff. thousands of acres of prime farmland in Clearview Township, Ontario, I believe, are under threat as Mark Carney's government gears up to expropriate generational farmers from their land to build a $6 billion military megaproject. Because there's nowhere else in this vast fucking country that they could plop something down. It has to be in this specific place. Probably because it's in one of his supporters' ridings. Yeah. Let's find out, actually. Where is Clearview Township in Canada? There might be 2 or 3, but Township of Clearview in Ontario. Okay. Who is the MP for the riding Clearview Township is located in Ontario? Federal MP. Oh, maybe it's a way to fuck his opponents over. These are generational farmers. A federal MP has raised concerns at Parliament Hill. Now, this is from CTV News. Take it with a grain of fucking Russian salt. Simcoe Grey member. Fuck off, pop-ups. Simcoe Grey member of Parliament Terry Dowdle is standing up for residents in Clearview Township on the national stage. It's not just Clearview, it's all of Simcoe Grey. In fact, I'm getting emails from other parts of Canada, from the agricultural community mostly, that are upset. Now, this is, how old? From the 3rd of November. So this has been going on for a while. Okay, let me ask the other AI. Who is the current MP for Simcoe Grey? It's still Terry Dowdle. Okay. Yeah. So it's still the same guy. This is about Manitoba. No, Kawartha Lakes, okay. So in September, the Department of National Defense held a public engagement session in Creemore and Kawartha Lakes regarding a project that would see 4,000 acres in a farming community in Clearview Township, the new home for an over-the-horizon radar receive site. That program, part of massive defense project, is supporting Canada's NORAD commitments. Move it fucking north! Move it into the territory, into the part of Ontario that can't be farmed. You fucking clowns. Hey, look at this. We've got over-the-horizon radar. Oh, what's that for? Well, it's to prevent Russians from sending things at us. Not really. But, I mean, who else is it going to detect? Russia's pretty much the entirety of what's on that side of the ocean, of the Arctic Ocean. Obviously, it's intended to keep an eye on Russia. So, move it further north, and you cover more of the north. You know the part of Canada that isn't fucking protected by the U.S. as much? Oh, these fucking fools in power. Oops, all commies. Ain't you right, though, eh? Yeah. Okay, that's it for the clown show. Now we come to... yeah. Okay, so I'll take this opportunity to point out the reason I use this hashtag, as I said earlier, is to highlight our heritage and our history, to show people white people are not, in fact, the demons that some people would make us out to be. That we are not, in fact, a net negative to the world. That we are, in fact, a net positive to the world. So, I mean, if it's an invention, if it's a military campaign, if it's a war that was fought against slavery, if it's a financial campaign that was fought against slavery, if it's great works of art, whether it's Shakespeare's plays, Van Gogh's paintings, Mozart's music, Paganini's fiddle. Oh, dear God. Listen to some Paganini. Holy crap, he was awesome. At least I think I have that right. Hang on, I have to make sure I haven't got Paganini and somebody else mixed up. Yes. Niccolo Paganini, yeah. Yeah, listen to Paganini's violins. I mean, just his music alone is amazing. Donatello, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Byron, Frost. Here in Newfoundland, Christopher Pratt. You know, the work of documentary filmmakers like Peter Jackson's They Shall Not Grow Old, David Attenborough, Steve Irwin, right? There are loads and loads of reasons to look at our people and be proud. And that's the major reason I want the White History Month hashtag, the July is White History Month hashtag pushed. But I also want it pushed because we need to remember Irina Zarutska, Cannon Hinton, Henry Novak, Austin Metcalf, Stephen Ogilvy, the girl in Dundee. I don't say her name and I don't show her image. And I'm trying to avoid her stories as much as I can, unless there is a big update. And I may have a bookmark about it today. But I don't want to draw attention to her. She is a child still. It has been less than 6 years since what happened with her, which means she has not reached the age of majority. Children deserve to be protected. So, okay, let's see what Mr. Massey has to say here. This is something from Thomas Massey. This is quite old. I do apologize if it's now no longer relevant. So this is from 1776 General, The General, and X. Thomas Massey exposes the truth about Israelis' attack on the USS Liberty. It's relevant. On the 59th anniversary of the attack, he outlines what happens with survivors present for the long overdue recognition.
On the next day, on June 8th, they started the day. The visibility was unlimited. The American flag was flying proudly on the USS Liberty. More planes came from Israel to surveil the boat, the ship.
I'm going to grab some water. I will be right back.
And they thought they were in good shape, but...
Never mind. I just remembered I have another bottle next to me. I have a new bottle of water now.
What happened next surprised them all. French Mirage jets showed up, and for 25 minutes, strafed and attacked the USS Liberty. They shot rockets. They shot 30-millimeter cannons into the hull and into the ship. They even dropped napalm on the bridge of the ship. This was an effort to kill everybody on board. There was no intention of taking prisoners.
Evil says she was just vindicated. Yeah. The brother and sister that were harassing her and her sister were arrested. Yeah, the Bulgarian national, I think he was, Ilya something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that bookmarked in this section.
After the 25 grueling minutes of attack on this virtually unarmed ship, and they thought things were over and they could recover, the torpedo boats showed up, 3 torpedo boats. They launched 4 torpedoes. One of them hit the hull of the USS Liberty and killed 25 people instantly. It blew a 40-foot by 40-foot hole in the side of this ship. They were intent on sinking it. But they were also intent on not having a single survivor. According to eyewitness accounts, the Israelis machine gunned the lifeboats that they put down. They machine gunned the firefighters who were on the deck. They were bringing the wounded and the dead to the mess hall to triage them. They had one doctor who was trying to help them all, put a few stitches in. It was harrowing, and it's amazing. If not for that crew, that boat would have sunk that day. But it still wasn't over. Helicopters showed up, combat helicopters. And the USS Liberty, even though their signals were being jammed by the Israelis, got a signal out. And there were ships that tried to respond. The USS Saratoga, the USS America sent planes. Both of them sent planes to help the USS Liberty. And something happened that's never happened before. A ship under attack, the planes were recalled. This has never happened before. And they sat there for 17 hours. 34 dead, 174 wounded, out of 294 crew members. That's over 70% casualty rate, unheard of. The Israelis were intent on leaving no survivor. And what about our own military? Why did they not send anybody for 17 hours to help these men?
Okay, I'm going to stop there for just a second and point out that clearly this was an attempt at a false flag attack. potentially not unlike the one that started the Civil War. And it's an absolute testament to the ability of those American sailors that, with all that going on and their own government working against them, they still survived.
So what really happened? You know, the official reports say that it was a case of mistaken identity. But if you listen to Dean Rusk, former Secretary of State, Richard Helms, CIA Director, Bobby Ray Inman, head of the NSA, Captain Ward Boston, who was the chief counsel of the Court of Inquiry. If you listen to Admiral Moore, who served in Pearl Harbor, Midway, commanded both the Atlantic and Pacific Fleet, and was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, none of these distinguished men think this was an accident. They think it was intentional murder by the country of Israel, either as a false flag operation or because they simply didn't want anybody observing what they were doing that day.
Okay, that'll do. So yeah, there's a little bit of white history for you. Yeah. And there's the tag. The Overton window is smashed open. Not really. The general says it all makes sense now. The Quinnipiac poll. Jewish support for affirmative action increases when told that it will harm whites. Yeah. They hate us. And they hate us over things that have happened for 1,000 years, but were never their fault. Right, Randy Fine? Yeah. Israel message intercepted on the 8th of June 1967 leave no doubt that sinking the USS Liberty was the mission assigned to the attacking Israeli warplanes and torpedo boats. There is no doubt, none, that the mission of the Israeli Defense Forces was to destroy the USS Liberty and kill its entire crew. That from former CIA analyst Ray McGovern. One of the few times the Israelis and the CIA weren't in cahoots, I suppose. That's a nice poster. I'm not sure if those are Mirages, though. They look more like F-16s. Still. And if you don't think that's true, what I just said about the Israelis hating us. Israel's Security Minister Ben Gvir. We want Mohammed to be the most popular name in the UK. Yeah. Yeah. Pain for you, Goyim, but not for us. Yeah. Now, why would an Israeli government minister, a member of the tribe of Judah and heritage enemy of the tribe of Muhammad, want to flood the West with their own enemies? It's almost as if they perceive the West to be their enemy as well. Curious. Yep. I don't think I can avoid some hard imagery from Rhetorically Defective. Hi, Artie. If you don't or haven't watched Rhetorically Defective's show on Fridays and Tuesdays with Newsfist and his own videos, I do recommend them. Not just because I'm his mod, but I mod for him because I actually respect what he's doing. The far right, and of course this lovely Sikh gentleman in summer in the UK, would like to respond to what he thinks of the race riots.
Well, let's talk about the race riots in Belfast last night. Look, clearly it's very shocking, but we should be clear that we as a nation are better than this.
That's all I need from you, thank you. Isn't it nice when the brown guy who moved to your country, even if it was a generation before, yeah, isn't it nice when the brown guy who moved to your country tells you how much you should behave, how your country should be? Yeah. Isn't it nice when the Browns repeat your own words back to you that you used to keep people from attacking the Browns a generation ago? We're better than this. But clearly we're not. Yeah, fucking Enwa. Boo-hoo, Nick, her. That's quite the statement there, Nick. Okay, and from Lazzy B, who was kind enough to be the, or I suppose unfortunate enough, to be the one who actually inspired me with this hashtag. All day, every day, white people are terrorized, harmed, and killed by specific groups of people that have been imported into the West. This has to stop. Sweetest Mississippi couple allegedly killed by burglars, 17, during home invasion. Remember how, let's say 3 generations ago, maybe 4 generations, 3 generations before me at least, you were considered a man at 14? Yeah. Those genetics didn't go away. Yes, you can maintain the claim that someone is a child until they turn 18 and are legally of the age of majority. When you turn 15 and you're 5'10", or in my case 5'9", and 200 pounds, and capable of doing a man's day's work, yeah. Just the tag. What is it? Oh, nope. We'll skip that one. No noticing. I am not going to stop noticing. You won't stop me, and even if you pry the noticing from my cold, dead hands. Okay, speaking of noticing, yeah. Have you noticed that the statues haven't stopped coming down? Yeah, from Bruce Barrett. Update. The city of Orillia, Ontario, just removed the Samuel de Champlain statue. Another Canadian founder removed. They want to erase our heritage. Yes, they do. Yep. The Champlain Monument. This impressive monument, built to commemorate French explorer Samuel de Champlain, is one of the finest examples of bronze statuary in Canada. It was sculpted by English artist Vernon Murch, who also created, I believe, the National War Memorial. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, the Orillia mayor returned the Samuel de Champlain monument that had been removed in 2017. Since then, it was covered with a tarp awaiting removal. Yeah, so they never actually ever put it back up. I said, white folks throughout the West either come together as a single bloc to protect our own and ensure the prosperity of our descendants, or we will watch it wither and die. Canada died during COVID. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with you. No country I respect would engage in communist lockdowns and violate my charter rights that were promised to me. Nobody promised you rights. That charter isn't worth the paper it's written on in terms of what it gives you, because it doesn't give you anything. It says you can have. It doesn't say you are guaranteed. Yeah, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada is not a set of guarantees. It's a set of privileges granted. People need to understand that is the difference between the U.S. Constitution and every other one in the West. The U.S. Constitution assumes that your rights exist, absent the presence of government. And it instructs the government to be the protector of those rights. And it also provides, through the First and Second Amendment, the ability to defend them when the government won't. Calling them natural rights is absolutely perfect, because these are the rights you have as a person because you exist as a person. Simple. And yeah, I do have the story about the axe girl in Dundee, so we will get to that last, because I think one or two more. From Joel Webben, why are all these young white people becoming racist? I wonder. Yeah, this is yet another image of a black kid pissing on Austin Metcalf's grave. How low of an individual do you have to be, male or female, to piss on someone's grave? I would love to take these people, and I use the term loosely, but these people who have done this, and I've seen at least 4 images, 2 males, 2 females, if I recall correctly, but I would love to take these people who have done this, take them aside, and ask them how they would feel if I went and pissed on Martin Luther King Jr.'s grave. I imagine they would be furious to the point of vengeful violence. Yeah. Just the tag. Mirthan the White. TND, Joel. TND. Apparently the N and D in TND doesn't actually stand for what I thought it stands for. It stands for non. Oh, he actually took a video. No, never mind. That's an AI video.
Return to your mud hut. We're sending you home.
Fuck off. Yeah, when you realize your people were being judged by the content of their character all along. Okay, I have one more before we get to the Dundee Axe Girl. And it's this one. From Sheepdog Society. Remember, they have homes to go to. Make an example of these traitors. The reason I'm posting this one is just to make sure you understand this. Thou shalt not fed post. Don't talk about doing violence to people. Certainly not in a public forum. You twit. Okay, and the last, before we get to Fandom Friday, and some slightly better news. So, from Stelios Panagiotou. Giotto? I don't know how to pronounce Greek names. I'm lucky I got Stelios right. Notice the fact that Hamza Yusuf's post is indicative of a pattern. Soon after this guy's 12-year-old ex-girl went viral last August, he rushed to dismiss her allegations as nonsense stemming from a racist far-right mob. He was under the same impression as the rest of us, that it was probably an Islamic person who had done this. Turns out it was a Bulgarian. Yeah, the court just vindicated Dundee's axe girl, giving evidence by video link the girl, who is only now 13, recalled, "He kept saying, 'Come here, sexy, I will show you how to have a good time.'" But Yusuf and others rush in similar cases to frame them as entirely driven by X, social media, and the far right. They do not care about the truth. They speak as if these allegations cannot be true, and that only bad people would entertain them. In their hands, the accusation of racism is meaningless. It is just a conversation stopper, an attempt to induce guilt to anyone who criticizes multiculturalism, and sadly, an attempt to diminish horrendous crimes happening against Europeans, as well as the natives of any Western country. And this is Hamza's original tweet from the 27th of August last year. A Bulgarian couple were approached by youths in St. Anne Lane, Dundee on Saturday, August 23rd. But Stephen Yaxley Lennon, God, will you please stop using Tommy Robinson as your fucking boogeyman? None of us trust him anymore. Goddamn wall kisser. And his racist far-right mob. Yeah. So you're calling the Jews racist then, Hamza? You understand that, right? Like Tommy did start the English and Jewish Defense League? Yeah. Who would have thought a convicted fraudster and liar was talking utter mince? Really? Yeah, Wanker Finder says he found one. Yeah, no doubt. The Bulgarian man is found guilty of assaulting 12-year-old in Dundee axe girl incident. Yeah. And I pointed out, well, I actually just amplified Stelios without really realizing I was. Yes, the word racism is an anti-white slur. It has been used to silence conversations, prevent accusations, defer incarcerations, and keep our people from seeing that we are in fact under attack. I have been pushing the tag, not just as a means of allowing people to highlight the glories of our heritage and history in Western civilization, but as a means to bring attention to the victimization caused, in significant part, by our governments. Bulgarians, no. I'm sorry. Deportation was last year. Yeah, deportation's very much last year. We're not deporting them anymore. They go from being deportations to decorations. I think Vlad the Impaler, had the right idea. Good neighbors make good fences. Bad neighbors make great fences. It's time to start making statements, not excuses. Yeah, the idea that the lassie is carrying a machete and a hatchet to defend herself against migrant rapists is the kind of theory you only dream up after spending years melting your brain on fascist Twitter, says Ali Fogg. Sure, bud. This is why there are riots in Northern Ireland, because the UK authorities have just dismissed any claims of white people, even white children who have been attacked by foreigners, as being made up and racist. They didn't even dismiss them as being made up. All lives matter except Democrats. They didn't even dismiss them as made up. They wanted them silenced for the sake of racial harmony. And that was even just bullshit. They don't care about racial harmony. They care about their goddamn GDP. It's the only thing that matters to people in government right now. Freeram will tell the audience point blank several times over the series to not trust demons, followed immediately every time with the demons vindicating her, and we still have people trying to defend them. Yep. For them, words are a means of deceiving humans. I really need to watch this show. Many left-leaning accounts are pushing terms like pogrom and racist riots. For left socialist parties that campaign heavily on racism, this is familiar territory. And their online astroturfing accounts are amplifying the message. They clearly believe it's a vote winner. Yeah, it won't be for long. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's, No, actually I don't want to sign in like that because I actually despise this trailer. They need to be shipped back. No, they only in a box. Or a urn. Yeah. And at that point, what's the point? Just scatter them in a field somewhere. Till them in so they can actually contribute to the country. Number go burr. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Okay, so the new Death of Robin Hood is going to be in cinemas about a week, next week. And I wanted to look at the trailer because I only just glanced at it. And the reason this is being dovetailed to July is White History Month is because it looks to me like this is an attack on another icon of Western civilization.
Would you like to know a secret? People speak of Robin Hood, tell his stories.
So we're getting an old Robin Hood in the form of Hugh Jackman. Yes, because if anybody can portray an Englishman, it's that Australian soap star. It's bad enough they made him a Canadian mutant. Okay, to be fair, he did do a great job as Wolverine, but still. Also, the next story I have actually kind of dovetails into the whole X-Men thing.
He was not a hero.
Robin Hood wasn't a hero. Yeah, this isn't deconstructivist of a heritage icon at all.
You were a murderous brigand.
A murderous brigand. And I'm going to assume this fella here with the great big club, which is not a quarterstaff, is in fact Little John.
We were monsters. I am the outlaw. Robin Hood.
From the director of Pig and A Quiet Place, Day One. Well, let's find out who directed that then. Michael Sarnowski. Okay. What else has he done? Nope. I never indicated how they should be shipped back, fair point. However, the best way to prevent more from coming to the West, yeah. We need to send some statements. So he's also done The Testimony, 2015, short documentary. He was the editor and executive producer. He's directed episodes of the web series Olympia and Fight Night Legacy. They're calling them television episodes, but they're not. While at Yale, of course he is, he co-wrote and directed the zombie apocalypse short Love of the Dead. Upcoming has The Death of Robin Hood. And he's apparently writing and directing a live-action film adaptation of Death Stranding. Yeah. Apparently, though, Hideo Kojima has expressed strong approval of the script. So, and he's got something in development called Sabrina, but it's an adaptation of the graphic novel by Nick Dornazzo. So I'm not sure what that is. Let me just check that out real quick, and if it's a decent image, I'll show it. Search. There we go. Copy image address. Okay, let's see if we can get that to show up over here now. So this is apparently the cover of the graphic novel that he's adapting. Whatever. Anyway, let's finish this thing now.
Groweth set and bloweth med and springeth the word anew.
I owe you an apology. You begged for me to let you die. What's your name?
Can you make for me?
I'm going to make you a bow. All right. What happened to her?
Terrible things. I help those who come to this island. And people change their course.
I've killed so many I could not give you a count. It's a curse.
The legend was a lie. Yeah, of course it was. Why wouldn't it be, right? Heaven forbid white people should have something they think they can take pride in.
There are bad people out there. I fear our blood debts will follow.
I'm still waiting to get a look at the bow he's using, because I saw an image of it elsewhere and it looked like it was definitely wrong.
I'll keep you safe.
Written and directed by Sarnowski. Lovely. Let's see if we can get a look at the bow he's got there. Okay, it actually does look like he might have fashioned something for her, at least, patterned on the longbow.
Could not give you a count.
But there was a bow earlier on, maybe. About, here? Yeah, there you go. That's definitely not an English longbow. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's a recurved Mongolian step bow. Which, yeah. Let me escape here. Let's see. Over here. When did recurved bows appear in England? Recurved bows appeared in England much later than the longbow. No shit. As late as the 17th... No, I don't need the latest they were used. Recurve bow was originally invented about 2,800 years ago by the Assyrians. The short recurve, specifically the MacNaughton bow, was regularly used by Highlanders until 1689. Again, I don't need the last time it was used. I need the earliest time it was used. Let's try when did bows, the recurve bow, first appear in England. Recurve bows did not appear in England as a dominant military weapon. Instead, the English longbow became the standard, first appearing in Europe in the 13th, becoming frequent by the 14th. Recurve and composite bows were known in Europe. They were less popular in England for several reasons: cost, complexity, material availability, tactical fit. Okay, so at any point where the Robin Hood mythos would have occurred, there was no way it was anything but a longbow. This looks okay, I guess. You know, I'm willing to give it a chance, but it feels kind of like The Northman. I have a suspicion there's going to be so much talk about it, I'll just lose interest. This is a boomer rage fantasy movie. Yeah. Yeah, for fuck's sakes, at least get the bow right. Yeah. Right? Especially when you consider... Supposedly he's... I'm going to assume this is him, because you know, the only archer that's being shown on screen in this scene where supposedly he and his band of brigands are attacking somebody. So I'm going to assume that this is him, and the guy with the big fucking club was Little John. Okay, we'll assume that. I could be wrong. I doubt it. But then the bow he's holding, absolutely, completely anachronistic to the time, and different than the style of bow he makes for the little girl later. What the fuck? Yeah. Did I put a comment on this? I don't believe I did. I know when I reposted the thing, I said, "Oh look, another deconstruction of an English or a white heritage icon." Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a bit of a dark story first, and then we'll move on. And it's a bit funny as well. X-Men star Tyler Mane, 59, reveals a super rare breast cancer diagnosis. Well, I would fucking hope so. That's Sabretooth. I'm going to kick cancer's ass. This is from June 10th last year. He was known for his role as Sabretooth, obviously. Before the English adopted it, it was known as the Welsh bow. Oh, I didn't know that. That's the same, the longbow, the yew bow, right? Y-E-W-U? He's wearing a Fallout shirt, poor bastard. Tyler Mane revealed his breast cancer diagnosis, noting it is rare and affects 1 in 755 men. Credited his wife for urging him to seek early treatment. Yeah, she probably found the lump. He hopes to raise awareness about male breast cancer and encourage early detection among men. I'm not going for a mammogram. I don't care how big my fat titties are. Revealed he was recently diagnosed. Oh, look, scam. On Monday, June 8th, the 59-year-old actor, June 8th last year, I believe, 2026. No, that's this year. Jesus, I'm an idiot. Okay. On June 8th, the 59-year-old, best known for his role as Sabretooth in X-Men, he's also a former professional wrestler, as I understand, posted a video on Instagram and opened up about the bad news regarding his health. Yes, I have breast cancer. Yep, super rare. I'll be honest, my first reaction was to keep it a secret. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. Then I found out men are more likely to be diagnosed in advanced stages because it's not talked about and not looked for. In fact, my doctors all dismissed it, and it was only because my wife pushed me to get the lump removed that I got in early. Yeah, some time ago I had a lump on my chest as well, very close to my nipple, and didn't really think it was likely to be anything, but it was very hard, very painful, and it wasn't moving, and it didn't disappear after a couple of weeks, so I went and got it checked. It turned out to be a relatively benign thing, but I was told it was potentially breast cancer. Mane revealed he is now beginning his first round of chemotherapy, sharing a clip of himself in hospital. According to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, male breast cancer is rare, accounts for less than 1% of all breast cancer diagnoses. Stark difference between women, where 1 in 8 will be diagnosed with breast cancer. After hearing the stats, Mane said he wants to change them. Good. Good man. If caught early, it's very treatable. Time to answer the wake-up call. And there's a image of Tyler as Sabretooth in... I think that's the first... Yeah, he was only Sabretooth in the first one, if I recall correctly. They did a great makeup job on him, too. He really looked the part, even though he wasn't comic-accurate Sabretooth. Yeah. Before the English... Oh, yes. Oh, author says yes for the U-bow. Thank you. Always get your lumps checked. Yes. Yeah. Okay, moving to the Telegram image. Oh, media's too big again. Okay. Well, I can probably download it and play it, but I won't bother. It's not that germane to Fandom Friday, and that's what this is, so... This one. This is just funny. I just wanted to bring this up. Oh, hang on. I should give you the background. From Robert Meyer Burnett, the Viceroy of Verisimilitude. It's Versimilitude, but actually, no, maybe it is Verisimilitude. In any case, hi, Bob. A playground brawl erupted not over toys or territory, but over Han Solo versus Captain Kirk. Okay, I'm an old nerd. I remember when this shit was actually possible. Sometimes the biggest arguments come from the most unexpected fandom debates. For the record, the best captain in sci-fi is neither Han Solo nor Captain Kirk. It's Captain Sheridan.
How exactly? Who threw the first punch?
You don't want to know.
I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't want to know.
Well, it was something he said.
What did he say?
You really
don't want to know.
I really do want to know.
He said that Han Solo was cooler than Captain Kirk.
Kick the little fucker's ass.
The only thing that would have made that better was if it had the proper fight music from Star Trek. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh. I think I did find the link I was looking for. This is the repost I put out of this. Yes. For the Death of Robin Hood movie. They're fucking doing it again. Another deconstructive examination of a white heritage icon. The Robin Hood epos. Yeah, I used epos instead of ethos or mythos because it's about legends. Specifically, it deals with legends. Is the latest victim of cultural attack by Hollywood. So this is the perfect sort of item to label with the hashtag July is White History Month to help preserve our heroes and our heritage. The stories that people tell themselves are the ones that tell that people who they are. I'm not going to bother with the replies because they were both negative and basically telling me to fuck off. I didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah, get fucked. I'd normally go to anything he was in, but I don't need to see a classic old hero turned into a murderous villain. Another one of our white heroes and legends destroyed and demonized all by this. Do you have any idea how heartening it is to see people actually agreeing with me, even though they have no idea that I said that? Because this was before I said it. I, for one, do not want to see Robin Hood die. I assume they destroyed this story along with all the other remakes of the past few years. Why would I want to watch a movie about the death of an icon? Yeah, it's kind of like that Rambo Last Blood. Yeah, it was a great movie. It really tied the story up well, but it still left room for a sequel, which was fucking stupid still. It looks like if Jason Statham played Robin Hood. As portrayed by Hugh Jackman. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this will be a good movie. I look forward to it. Have fun. Free Alberta from Canada says, sounds like woke liberal crap. Yep. What was the response he got? Probably from an account I blocked. The kill 'em offs will take a pass. A woke angle. Is this from anyone good? Fuck this movie. Can we have summer anytime soon? Okay, that's just unimportant stuff. Oh, I was about to triage this one out, but given that it's who it is, Stormy Waters has to say, Demon says he's made a movie about how demons don't exist. Demon says they are actually aliens, and when everyone learns about them, they will stop believing in God. So it's Schindler's List, but with aliens.
Church. What does night if the government announced, yes, we have been keeping this from you since 1947, that would mess up a lot of people. And the movie also takes the position of the church.
Which church? Also, why the church and not the synagogue, Steve?
This due to the fundamental beliefs that many of us have. And, is God our God only?
What do you mean, our God? We don't share the same God.
On this planet, or is God a God for every system where there's civilization, intelligent life, and even developing life?
Yeah, so the Chosen can't decide whether or not he wants to portray his people as the Chosen, or if he wants to portray all people everywhere that are possible as the Chosen. Yeah. And my system is frozen. Let's see. Author says, Hollywood is morally bankrupt, can't come up with anything new, so they choose to violate the corpses of cherished IPs. Robin Hood isn't an IP. It's literally a legend, which means no one has any right to Robin Hood. If I chose to write a Robin Hood movie, I'd be fine. I could do it. I've thought about it. And seeing things like this actually make me want to write more of them. But I'm going to have to do something sketchy here. Pop that up, close my browser, bring my browser back up, because my browser froze, and see if this works. And yes, but I have to go here and pop that browser up. There we are. Okay. So, responses. Why does this movie take the position of the church and not the synagogue? Soulless heathen from a known godless tribe thinks Christianity would disappear because aliens. Par for the course for them, isn't it? I would say heathen is a bit generous to his people. We exist as a mirror to them. When they look at us, they are forced to see themselves as they truly are. Weak, cowardly, godless, and without honor. Yeah, Stormy's pretty straightforward. They want to destroy what they cannot bear the sight of. Also, you misspelled bear, but I'll let it go. Boomers have been tricked into believing it's the same God. Yeah. One of the things I like to point out is Christianity is so thoroughly westernized, it isn't the same God anymore. E.T. and Close Encounters were surely astroturfed at the time, supposedly huge movies that literally nobody cares about now. I never really gave two shits about E.T. I think I saw it once when I was a kid, which I was in the target demographic. It didn't excite me. It seemed like it was the adults around me who were more excited about it. Close Encounters, I've seen, 5-10 years, somewhere in the last decade. Interesting concept. But, I mean, with the advances in science since the 70s, it doesn't make sense. Cherub Cow says they've used the alien metaphor a lot, even Superman as the alien who is just a clumsy autist whose superpower is agitprop. Yeah. To be fair, with Superman, he started off as essentially just a random dude who had a little bit of extra strength. Still created by Jews, though. And which faith are you targeting with this, Mr. Spielberger? Yeah. Those without faith fight for what? True. Schindler's List, but with aliens. I've always been fond of pointing out that if aliens actually were real, it is the white people who almost certainly will save everyone, because I guarantee you some Appalachian grandma is going to look at the alien and go, "You any good in a stew?" Yeah. Okay, folks, that's going to be the end of the recorded segment. I'm going to take a short break, and I will come back and do some gaming. But before I leave, please, if you would like to support what I do, if you find any value in what I do, head over to the Ko-Fi, fling me a few bucks. If you do that on a monthly basis, I'll put your name in the ticker, unless you ask me not to. If you want to support me, but you don't have any money, I understand the feeling. I am the poor as well. I'm not making a lot of money. Certainly not making even subsistence level of money off of my Ko-Fi at the moment. You can like, share, follow, comment, chat. Deeply appreciated. Evil Author. I think Evil was the only one who popped into chat today. Yes. So, deeply appreciate your presence. Let's see. Yeah, if you would like to support me, chat, share, follow, like, comment, or subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. Excuse me. You can send me Rumble rants. You can subscribe to me on Rumble. I've been monetized for well over a year. Possibly over 2 at this point. That said, Rumble is taking such a massive cut of what is being presented to creators that it isn't financially viable for me to take money that way at this moment. If I get to the point where I've got 1,000 followers on this channel, I will absolutely help out. I absolutely agree that Rumble should be able to compete with YouTube. I really wish they could, but they have issues they need to fix, and if they're focusing on competing with YouTube by enhancing creator interest in the platform, this is not the way to do it. Between 30 and 50% of what you guys donate to a creator is taken by Rumble. Now, I understand. I'm on Rumble's platform. I use Rumble's infrastructure to present this stuff to you. Sure. But I could still be doing it on YouTube and accomplishing the same thing and still shucking my Ko-Fi. Why am I on Rumble? Because Rumble doesn't pull the same shenanigans that YouTube does. There's no TOS shenanigans yet. There's no copyright shenanigans yet. I can't tell you how many of my videos in the last year have gotten some sort of copyright warning. Why? It's obviously fair use, or you'd pull it down. Why are you giving me warnings? In any case, yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I will be back in 5 or 10 minutes, but as I am ending the recording, I will say, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. July is White History Month. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.